All right, everybody, we're gonna get started. Aaron, I'm gonna shake your hand, then we're gonna get started.
I think you hear you.
All right, welcome everybody to our meeting for the East Hillsborough Democrats, where our motto is stop talking, start doing. All right, we got a ton of slides because you have the unfortunate privilege of having a former law school professor as your president, so buckle up. All right. Slideshow is not working, hang on.
I'm sorry, I just have food. Okay. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it was working a second ago, so we're gonna try it again.
Oh, that was the difference.
What's happened here?
Mary. Where's Mary? Oh, Mary is here. Hi, Mary. No, she, they brought her.
We look a little bit alike.
That's the difference.
So sure.
Well, thank you, honey. I'm just a little bit that word. I could. Thank you.
All right, we are off to a smoking start with already not being able to run a slideshow. So we start off every meeting with a pledge of allegiance. So if you can rise, please. Step required by the DEC for posting meetings. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Now, also under the rules, we are supposed to have a moment of silence. If you've been here before, you know that we don't do that. We instead do a moment of righteous anger because there's a lot to piss you off right now. Right?
Yes.
We got Trump taking over DC. We got them getting rid of Title 10, so birth control is about to go out the window.
Oh, no.
We got a whole bunch of things to be mad about. But today, we're actually not going to do that either. Okay? We're going to do something different. I'm going to call somebody in to take a picture of us because we're going to do beers and cheers. Our secretary, Janet, her husband passed over the summer while we were not having meetings. He did not want a funeral or any of the other things. What he wanted was people to take a selfie doing cheers. So we're going to get a picture of us because we are a community for Janet. That's the picture of him that was on her desk. That's a picture from Valentine's Day that I stole from Facebook. Sorry, Janet, I ran into your Facebook account. Hang on, I'm going to grab someone to take a picture. If everybody can line up here so we can take a picture for Janet, we'll get it framed and send it to her. All right? I'll take the picture. I thought no. You didn't. You said. Yeah, I'm going to right past you. I'll ask you to grab our guy. He's gonna take a picture. Yeah, I got to. Get up there. You're in the meeting now.
You're taking the picture?
I got a guy who's playing pool. He's gonna take a picture. Get everybody up there. All right.
Yep, okay, got it.
All right.
Got it?
Here's Janet. Let's get Janet right up front.
Hey, Colonel.
I'm sure I'm always gonna be on.
Yeah.
Good choice.
All right.
All right, y'all ready?
You're ready.
All right.
There.
Change the angle.
Here's the Bruce.
I'm trying, it's so hard to get everybody.
Well, the light is right in my eyes.
Thanks so much. We appreciate it, man.
Great.
They took a break from their pool game to take this picture for us, so thank you guys. Thank you.
Rest in peace.
Then you got.
Sorry.
Oh, hi. All right. Everyone is here on a Tuesday night. You could be with family, you could be with friends, you could be doing something else. Why do we do that? Because it's important for us to be here to do what? Because we have all kinds of things that we want to accomplish. When you sign up to become a member here, one of the things we ask you is, what is your why? Why are you here? Why are you taking time away from doing this? For me, that's my wife. That's on our first date when we were 19 years old. Before I pulled the bait and switch. This was the, hey, look how much hair I have, and I'm a college level track athlete. Surprise! What I hate about this is that when she was 19 and I was 19, she had more rights then than she does today. That's a crock of bullshit. These are my 4 kids. My wife and I have adopted 4 kids. What do you say?
That's why you don't have hair.
Exactly. Yes, this is the evidence that I have 4 children. My oldest daughter, I have to talk to her about how the school is going to tell her that slavery had some positives to it, which again is a giant crock of bullshit. And she should never have to hear that. And we should never have to tell her that don't listen to your teachers because they're full of it. Same deal with my other 3 kids who are all Mexican American. It is terrifying to be a parent of Mexican American kids right now, wondering if ICE is going to show up at that school, if ICE is going to snatch them while they're riding their bikes around the neighborhood. This is my why. This is why I'm here and not home with all of that. What is your why? What is it that brings you here? That's the important thing to remember, that we are taking this time to show up. Who's here for the first time? Why are you here today?
I'm getting unpaid. Everything that's happening is wrong. This is so wrong. We're losing our rights.
Exactly. Exactly. Losing their rights. Who else is their first time here?
Resist fascism.
There we go. Resisting fascism. Definitely something, a skill that we have to develop. How about you? There we go.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. We have other new people here. I'm going to stick to 3 because we have a very packed agenda tonight. But everybody has a why for why they want to be here, whether it's protecting someone they love, protecting themselves, or just making the world better for everybody else. Keeping the money out of politics, protecting the environment, all kinds of things that we've seen. That's why we have this organization and why we built the strategy that we built starting in March, which is number 1, we have to focus on the work. Democrats have no money, we got no power, right? We're basically the dumb and dumber. We got no money and our pets' heads are falling off. That's us. We're the Democrats, right? So what do we have to do? We need to get involved in the work. We've got Echo here, who we donate food at a lot of our meetings to them. Why? Because we want to hear about the work and what we can do to get involved in the community. Once we're doing that work, we can start trying to involve people and drawing more people in, right? We're packed to the gills today, right? We got no room. If we get 1 more person, 2 more people, we're out of chairs, right? We're trying to draw people in. Why? So then ultimately, we need to start raising funds because that's what talks, unfortunately. For those of you who want money out of politics, I agree. But the rules of the game are what they are today, and we have to play by those rules. So we need to make sure that we have some financial influence in this club. We then, by bringing in people, can have volunteers that can help those politicians. And guess what politicians need? Money and volunteers. And what will happen with that? We can help generate more voters. And when you can provide those three things, guess who listens? All those politicians who don't give a crap about any of us, right? That's how we get influence, and that's how we do good, right? This is our strategic plan. All of these things have to be done, and they have to be done visibly. People have to know that it's the Democrats showing up and doing this work. Otherwise, it makes no difference. Now, we were off for the month of July with no meeting, so people could travel, people could do other things. However, your board was not doing nothing. We were doing a whole bunch of things. One of the things that we did is every club and caucus has to be recertified every 2 years. We went through the recertification process over the summer without you guys needing to do anything. This is all due August 15th, but we're already done. We're done ahead of schedule. We went through creating our recertification request, made sure that, Walt got us our proof of dues payment and all of our bank info. We all showed up to the bank, did the things that we had to do, signed loyalty oaths, showed what our strategy was so that we can get approved by both the local Democratic Party and the state Democratic Party to continue to have a club. And as of yesterday, we got an email that congrats on your first time getting through recertification. We were done 2 weeks ago. We already found out that this should be good, barring any issues. So we are ready to go. So we can implement this strategy for our community. So what else did we do? One of the things we did was we built out a new website. Our old website was functional, but was cutting edge in 1993. So we wanted to make sure that it looked a little bit neater and more up to date. This is our new website. Go take a look, poke around in it, see what you can find. These are the things that we are going to have to draw people in. But here's the thing. Our website is not about what we do in these meetings. Our website is about having people find us. That's something our old website couldn't do. Our old website ranked 0 terms for search engine optimization other than our name. So unless you knew about the East Hillsborough Democratic Club, which just rolls right off the tongue when you're searching on Google, you weren't going to find us. We've already changed that. If you search for Democratic headquarters, and the DEC is going to be really pissed off about this, we're already ranked #1. And granted, the website's been up for a week.
Good job.
We're also in Bloomingdale and Valrico. So we are #1 in 3 different locations. That means as people start looking to get involved and start looking for the Democratic headquarters near them, guess where they're coming? To us. Every single location that East Hillsborough serves is going to be ranked #1 on these types of terms. And it's not just when people are looking for the headquarters. What about Democrats? Just in general. We're freaking #1. We have a website up for a week. We're already up there above the DEC. This is what people are looking for. We're going to get found for anything we want to be found for. Okay? That's done. Now, this is so important because we set the goal the day that I was elected in March of this year to be at 160 members by next year, which would be awesome. Obviously, we're out of space, but would be great. That website is going to help people find us so that we can get to this number without active marketing and recruiting. We're still going to do active marketing and recruiting now that we're getting set up for that, but we can't do it until we get a bigger space. Now, other thing that I was up to this summer is we had this issue where Trump decided that he was not going to release $7 billion for the students in this country. All the kids from kindergarten through senior and high school, he held back $7 billion. Supposed to release it on July 1st. On June 30th, he just sent out a letter to the school saying, we're not going to release it. Bad news for him is that I'm on the board of the Florida PTA, and I was an undefeated trial litigator. So when they said, hey, what can we do about this? I said, well, every group has authority to sue on behalf of its members. And guess who our members are? Teachers, students, administrators, parents, all the people impacted by this. If your members are impacted by it, you can sue on their behalf. Now, why did we have to sue? Historically, if there was a lawsuit brought by, let's say, Illinois, and Illinois won, then that would apply to the entire country. But about a month ago, the Supreme Court said no more nationwide injunctions. So 22 blue states sued to get these funds released. If they had won, Florida would not have gotten a dime. So what did we do? We got the Florida PTA, we got Ohio, we got a whole bunch of other states to join in. And we got joined in on their lawsuit on July 22nd. And in fact, right there, I'm gonna be immortal now. That's my name, right in the lawsuit. Andrew Vaughn, Florida PTA board member, local unit president. This was part of the lawsuit that we prepared. And the lawsuit was so freaking good that in less than 3 days, Trump folded like a lawn chair. The result of this, $400 million for students in Florida. $400 million. Now, I don't know about you, but I got lots of questions about why is it that the PTA had to pick this up and not our politicians and some other things. I mean, there are lots of good questions asked about that. But at this point, let's just celebrate the win. We got $400 million for our public schools that they were trying to hold back. All right. That catches us up for July. Really quick, Walt, you want to give the treasurer's report?
Okay, our account today, we have $1,471.41.
Awesome.
We'll take any money that anybody wants.
Here we go. Janet? Minutes?
I put them out and I'm sure he attached them to the,
Perfect. All good. There we go. That's your treasurer and secretary report. Right there.
oh, actually, we didn't have any for July.
I think we approved May at the board. All right, let's talk about meeting space, right? We're packed in here. I'm sweating like a lunatic. And so we got to figure out something to do. So over the summer, we also got approved. We are now approved as a nonprofit organization to use the libraries in Hillsborough County. The library in Riverview can hold over 100 people. So they have one meeting room that we could use down there. That is a possibility. Library here in Brandon only holds 50, so it's not going to do us much good compared to this, right? In the meantime, the board and I have been trying to find other locations. I have toured more places than I can count. I've been to pizza places that said we can accommodate you, and then I get there and they can hold 34 people. It has not been pleasant. We do have one option that I'm very hopeful about, which is Dave & Buster's. So my kids are going to be real pissed that we're going to be there. But Dave & Buster's has a room in the back dining room that holds 160 people, which is convenient for us because we're looking to grow to 160 people. So I'm waiting to see their proposed contract, but what they were hoping to offer is essentially that we need to eat or drink $300 worth of food, and if so, no charge.
No problem.
So, if you don't drink $300 worth of food, especially at Dave & Buster's, where a beer is like $20. So, that may be an option. If not, we've got the library. We are hoping to have a solution to that within the next couple of months. Until then, we will be meeting here. All right. We have an event coming up if you are interested in it. And I actually want to call out Alan for this event. So Alan and I were talking 2 meetings ago, and he mentioned, oh, have you seen this guy, David Jolly, on MSNBC? And I said, I don't know that a former Republican running for governor is our best fit. And Alan said, well, hey, you should at least listen to what the guy has to say. And so just a couple weeks ago, I actually spoke on a panel for public education about that PTA lawsuit, and David Jolly was there, and I got to hear it. And so they asked me to be one of the hosts of this event. This is a free event where you can hear from David Jolly and you can submit questions. When you walk in, you're like, why should we listen to a Republican as a Democrat? Great, ask it. If you've got questions for Leader Fentress Driscoll, ask it. Questions for Rick Wilson, ask it. This is free. But if you want to go, you need to sign up like today. So this is something where it was going to be limited to 400 people. We just got the space expanded to where it will be 500. As of this morning, there were only about 100 spots left. That's going to go real quick because we haven't done anything other than post this flyer on Facebook. So, and nobody under the age of 40 is on Facebook anyhow. So we've got a lot more people that we can reach, right? So if you are interested, here's the QR code, or you can go to that bit.ly democracy-revival and sign up. It is free. You have the opportunity to ask a governor a question, and there are almost no opportunities to get in front of major leading politicians at no cost and actually ask questions. So if you're interested in any of that, highly recommend it. All right, you've heard me talk about how all 4 of my kids are adopted and the youngest 3 kids are all Mexican American. Immigration is a huge issue to me personally. There is an immigration town hall happening. And if you are interested in coming to that, and it is August 19th, so just in about a week at the Cuban Club. If you're interested in that, that's the link to it, or you can scan that QR code. Again, you'll see David Jolly there, and I will give Alan credit for this. I will tell you, I have seen David Jolly in more locations than I have seen other politicians, right? He's freaking everywhere.
Well, we watch him a lot on MSC. No, he's up down on Sun City Center.
Yeah, and so we've got Kathy Castor, David Jolly. If you read La Gaceta, Patrick Manzanega, who writes, in fact, I think he just wrote about Laurel Lee, who we've got some future opponents of Laurel Lee in the room. I believe describing her as she must be off trying to kill some Dalmatians for her coat or something to that effect. And so if you want to hear from a guy who writes some nice snarky stuff like that, that's great. And we actually will have a couple of immigration attorneys talking about what is going on the ground. Because I can tell you, as a retired lawyer and law school professor, when I talk to my students who work in immigration, it's insane right now. Rules are not being followed. All kinds of stuff is happening that is crazy. If you are interested in immigration, this is absolutely a great town hall. And again, it is free. All right, I'm going to shift the microphone over to Ben Braver for 2 minutes to talk about an event coming up.
Thank you so much, Drew. Is this on?
Yep, but it's only going to Zoom.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much, Drew. So I'm sorry if I'm the one to break it to y'all, but our country is quickly descending into a fascist state. We see what Trump is doing in DC, taking it over. We see that he has standing armies across the nation with ICE, the National Guard, with now nationalizing our police force, and we see that he doesn't care about checks and balances. I mean, the Department of Justice is not the Department of Justice. It's the Department of Donald Trump. And our representatives are eager to be complicit. Laurel Lee has been hiding. She hasn't talked to her constituents in ages because she knows what she's doing is wrong. She knows that Trump's policies, Trump's actions are actively hurting us. And I'm here to ask you to help us get her out of hiding. We are going to be doing a protest at our office on Saturday, August 23rd, where we'll be out there for about 30 minutes talking about the problems in this country and how Laurel Lee could be helping us if she chose to. Then we're going to Bridge Me Down, wave some signs, and door knock around Tampa Palms to ask people to come to our town hall. The town hall will be on the 30th. Right now, it's at Litz Library. We're getting the application for that. We'll let everyone know if that changes. Hopefully it won't. And we are going to be asking her some questions. Hopefully we'll also have the other people who want to take on her position and actually represent Tampa Bay there as well to talk about their ways to make this country better. And so I'm going to ask you, do you want your representatives to represent you?
Yes.
Do you want them to come to a town hall?
Yes.
Do you think this is necessary for our democracy?
Yes.
Then I need you to take your phones out, scan these codes, and send these posters to your friends. We need people to come out there. If you send it to 5 people, and then even better, if you ask them to send it to 5 more people, we will have an amazing turnout at this event. There are a bunch of people across Tampa Bay doing this right now. And I know I can count on you to be a part of this change. If you have any more questions, please reach me
Any questions for
after.
Ben before we let him off here? Anybody got questions? All right, let's make sure everybody's got time to get a picture of the slide. Get the QR codes.
There are that you can download these right on the link tree, and I'm going to be putting more information on that link tree as we get closer to the event. We really just started planning this like I think 4 days ago, but we have a bunch of people working on this, and we're really excited for it. If you have any questions for me, please reach me out to me after this.
And Ben's
Yep.
gonna be here.
Oh, yeah.
Come talk to him.
Thank you so much.
Everybody wants a picture, got it?
Yeah.
I see Vicky's still got her phone out, hang on.
Go back to the other one.
Yeah.
Go back to the other one, all right, hang on, we got people wanting to take this picture.
Just didn't want to commit.
You would. And what we can do, I'll put these up on the East Hillsborough Facebook page, and so if you missed anything, that way you can just hop on there and get it from the convenience of your own home, all right? All right, other ones? We have the immigration town hall, was this the one you wanted, Alan, or the other? One we put in, there you go.
James. James.
Food.
Quesadilla, chicken fingers, okay, sorry. If it's a lot. Careful.
Got it? All right, here we go. And we are somehow running ahead of schedule, so we're good on the agenda. One more thing that we have the potential to do. Most people don't know we exist, right? Now we have a website where people can find us a lot easier. One of the things that we've been approached about is participating in the parade of lights. Chris, how much would it cost for us to participate? $50 to participate in the parade of lights. But if we do this, we are going to want to do it right. We're going to want to show up with a lot of people. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to the parade of lights. I was at this last year. So my two boys and my daughter are in Scouts, and we did this as part of Scouts. And what we would want to do is have a lot of glowy stuff to hand out to kids. The glowy stuff that has something to do with Democrats would be something we'd want to do. It's like a mile and a half walk. It's not bad, other than the fact that you got to walk slow, because then everything stops and starts. But board looked at it. We thought this is interesting. We wanted to bring it to the membership and see if this is something that we want to do or that we want to take a pass on. So does anybody have a strong opinion one way or another on whether we should do this parade?
Let me say, we usually do the 4th of July parade, but this year it came up late and frankly, we were exhausted, so we didn't bother with it. This is something that will help us, get that. And we will need walkers and
Gonna be spot, so this parade will be in December, right?
December at night,
At
Yeah,
13.
December, yeah.
the 13th. Here's a better memory to dates. And we will need people to walk and probably money to buy stuff.
So the question is, in terms of our strategy, right? Our number one strategy is getting involved in the community by helping organizations like ECHO. Some of the other organizations we'll be hearing from moving forward. Parade of Lights, one of our other goals though is we have to let people know we exist. We need to bring in members, we need to bring in volunteers. This is a way that we can let people know we exist. But if we show up with like 6 of us, it's gonna look bad. So if we want to do this, I need everybody to want to do it. So, do we all want to do this or do we want to take a pass on this?
I would like to do it.
All right, let's do by show of hands. Well, I guess we gotta do the Robert's rule stuff. Can someone make a motion that we should do the Brandon parade?
So moved.
Ben has moved for the, that we participate in the parade of lights. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we've got a second. All right. All in favor of participating in the Brandon parade of lights, we're gonna do a vote by show of hands. People on Zoom, raise your hand on your Zoom if you wanna do this. All right. Raise your hand if you are voting yes, we should do this. All right. And 3 online? All right. All right, everybody lower your hand. If you are voting no, raise your hand. All right, it is unanimous. We are gonna be in the Brandon Parade of Lights.
That's going to be. For 13th of December.
All right, somewhere around the 13th of December, we'll get all the details out, now that we know what we're doing. All right, I wanted to talk about one other thing, right? It's important that we listen to each other as a community. I mentioned already, I wasn't a David Jolly fan. I listened to Alan where I would at least say, hey, I'll go listen to see what this guy has to say. In our board meeting, Chris mentioned that he is a precinct captain. So in terms of how politics is structured here in Hillsborough County, there is what is called the Hillsborough County Democratic Executive Committee, because Democrats suck at marketing. And so they have named the Democrats in charge of the whole county that. As part of that, there are sub-elected positions called precinct captains that are in charge of individual precincts. So I'm a precinct captain, Chris is a precinct captain, I'm sure we've got Susan is a precinct captain, Janet, I'm sure Cal, are you a precinct captain? Yeah. We got lots of precinct captains in the room. Your job when you do that is you got maybe 1,000, 2,000 people in your precinct. You need to make sure that they have anything they need to vote, they need to re-register for vote by mail, things like that. Chris mentioned that one of the tactics he uses is he goes to the supervisor of elections website, downloads the data on who just registered to be a Democrat, and then sends a letter to all of them in his precinct. And I thought that was freaking brilliant. And I think that that's something we should steal as a club and start doing for this, because we have all the zip codes and precincts broken down for our area for East Hillsborough. And we should start sending them letters to let them know that we exist, right? Just like a first point of outreach. Now, I want to hold off on this until we have space, because we can't fit more people right now. But in the next couple of months, I would like to start using some of our time here to do a little bit of political work in the meetings themselves, right? Our motto is stop talking, start doing. I want to start doing things in the meeting. Can we have a motion to adopt letter writing once we have a larger space? Is there anybody who wants, we got a motion from Alan. Do we have a second? From Cod. All right. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, there we go. We're gonna start letter writing as soon as we have some slightly larger space than this, so that we can bring people in. All right, we are now gonna hear about Echo. We have been donating food to Echo as part of this club for years. Many of us have volunteered there. I go to their community roundtable meetings where you can sit with other not-for-profit leaders and hear how people are falling through the cracks and what we can do to help. We are gonna hear from their director, Eleanor Saunders. All right, Eleanor, I gotta have you hold this, and that's just for the people on Zoom. So you just talk loud enough for everybody to hear.
Okay, hi you guys. Hi. My name is Eleanor, obviously, and I've been with the organization for over 10 years. I actually started as a volunteer 20 years ago in the clothing room. What does ECHO do? We co-create stability with our neighbors that are in crisis. And we are committed to southeastern Hillsborough County. So east of 75, the Nassau all the way down to Sun City Center. That's our community and that's who we serve. We're deeply embedded in the local community, supported by the local community. This past fiscal year, our fiscal year ends June 30th. We serve close to 30,000 local residents. Yes, they come to us because they shop in our market. Oh, hi. Hi. Good to see you.
Yeah.
They shop in our local market. It is a food pantry, but it's a little mini market of food and a mini market of clothing. They can access it free of charge, critical needs, up to 3 times a year. Will I ever pack a box for someone? No. Do I ever want to just have people drive through our parking lot and I put food in their trunk? Absolutely not. Do I want to co-create solutions with my neighbors? Absolutely yes. The majority of the staff members that work for ECHO have what we call lived experience. And we know what it feels like to go to a food pantry with our mom. We're grown up. And we know what it looks like to open up a fridge and see no food. And we know what it looks like to be disenfranchised from really good jobs. And it changes the way we serve our neighbors. We don't call them clients. We don't do stuff for, we do stuff with, and we work side by side. And it totally changes our service delivery. We have full-time social workers. They help with wraparound services because, and Drew knows this very well, but we're really passionate about one-on-one job coaching. Non-employability classes. It's not our jam. If you come to us and you need a job, you needed a job yesterday, you don't have time to sign up for a 6-week course on how to dress and how to get your resume ready and how to do a job search. You need a job like now. Yep. And so we pair you up one-on-one with the job coach and they literally do the job of just like skill assessments, figuring out what you're good at so that you're actually going to stick. There is a cleaning company in Brandon. Out of 35 employees, 30 of them came from it. Wow. Yeah. There's a construction company. They don't even list on Indeed anymore. They call ECHO directly and we help place people there. Right now we're averaging 1 job every single day. So 30 to 32 jobs a month. Brand new jobs for our neighbors in crisis. If we can help people provide for their own families, that's what we're all about. Obviously we're there for emergencies. And so we'll help that way too. But our strong desire is that people will be put in a position where they can thrive and not be coming around all the time That's another thing. If you've grown up in that system, you know that often it's set up to be very paternalistic and it doesn't feel great to be on the receiving end. So we want to make it as gracious and as equitable as possible. So that's what sets Echo apart. Do we help people transition out of homelessness into affordable housing? Absolutely. Is there a massive lack of affordable housing in our community? Absolutely. Is this an under-resourced part of the county? Absolutely. Do we have county-funded neighborhood service centers in this part of the county? No, we do not. Do you know why? Because we're unincorporated. Welcome. So Echo is a nonprofit. We've been around for almost 40 years. We are the de facto neighborhood service centers for this part of the county. So when you're thinking about, who you want to support, my hope is that you don't send your money to Tampa. My hope is that you will support a local organization who's been deeply embedded here for almost 40 years, since 1987. Have we felt any of the cuts? Absolutely, yes. We used to receive a grant, a federal grant. It's called the Emergency Food and Shelter Program that helped us put people in emergency shelter. For us in this part of the county, that means motels. So emergency motel stays. That was really critical for us because we could put a family in a motel for a few days while we try to get them an apartment. And I'm talking about families who are camping in Bedard for 2 weeks. And then they go camp Lithia Springs for 2 weeks. And then they hit up Hillsborough River for 2 weeks. So we have large families of children with their parents or mama sleeping in tents in our county parks. We have recently worked with 2 families who were sleeping in their storage units. And then we have countless families sleeping in their cars. Super frustrating. We'd love to get those kids out of storage units and into emergency motel stays. That funding was totally cut. Our local board was told to disband. So that was about $35,000 that we lost. And it doesn't even exist anymore. The EHDC program does not exist. So we're seeing a lot of that. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of fear. We're seeing a lot of fear in our Spanish speaking and also our Creole communities. There's a pretty large Haitian community up by the fairgrounds. A lot of those families aren't sending their kids to school. They're keeping them out of school. So that's a real concern. We know of at least one church in Dover that's literally doing food deliveries to people's homes because they're just ready to leave their houses and their trailers. So that's the kind of stuff we're seeing on the front lines, just so you're aware. That's how we're experiencing the cuts. We're open in Brandon. I should tell you, we have 2 resource centers. One in Brandon on North Parsons, one in Riverview on Riverview Drive. And in the next 12 to 18 months, we'll open our 3rd resource center in Thedonahsassa. Again, a highly under-resourced community that's desperate for help. In Thedonahsassa, you're either loaded or you're broke. And we want to help those that are really struggling. But I was at our Brandon location right before I came here. We're open 5 to 7 on Tuesday nights. We'd already had 10 families fly in there within the first 20 minutes that we opened our doors. People are really hurting. It's a struggle. I mean, they're really struggling. So we're so thankful for your support. So I gave you this impact report. That's just so you can see like what's happened in the last fiscal year. That's what this is. The brochure is just an overview of what we do. These cards are really great if you want to get them for me at the end. If you're driving in your car, I always keep them in my visor. You're driving in your car and somebody's asking for help, right? Or they're flying a sign and you just want to roll down your window and very kindly and compassionately give them our card. I would love that. Just direct them to one of our resource centers so that we can help them out. And that way, at least you're not looking away, like you're actually doing something, which would be lovely. And then I have my own personal business card. And then finally, I have these if you want them. It just describes our services and our locations in both Spanish and English. So that if you ever needed to pass them out to anybody, it just tells them what they need to bring with them when they come to get services. Our critical needs, like I said, you can come up to 3 times a year for food and clothing. You shop for yourself. You can always meet with one of our advocates, which is what we call our social workers, 5 days a week. And then our job coaches are readily available as well. So that's Echo in a nutshell. Thank you so much for having me.
I wanted to ask you, how's the thrift store doing on Kings Avenue?
Okay, the thrift store is killing it. And honestly, that has been such a good insurance policy for us.
Yep.
We have two thrift stores, one on 60 and one at Bloomingdale and Kings. We tell people all the time, donate your clothing there. That's where all our volunteers are that store clothing. Anything left over, we sell it. 100% of the net proceeds go back to pay our social workers. So, you do need to hear this though. Yes, we sell our excess clothing, but we also distribute over $4 million worth of free clothing to our neighbors on an annual basis. Yeah, super proud of that.
In other words, you got please mistake, go to the one on
Please.
Sims Avenue, Bloomingdale. I
Yeah.
donated a lot.
Keep it in your community, keep it in your community. We're helping the people that you shop at Walmart with, sit at the ball game with, go to church with, those are our neighbors. Yeah,
When the county zeroed out the $10 million for affordable housing,
yeah, I was
did that
there
affect you?
directly, no. We're trying really hard to work with local churches, like St. Francis of Assisi Catholic. They built an affordable housing unit. There's a new bill that when they passed the big beautiful bill, there's a thing called, Yes in God's Backyard, which gives provision to churches that they aren't constrained to the same zoning laws. So we're kind of going at it from that angle. We're trying to work with our church partners and be like, you have extra land, help us out. Let's figure this out together for this part of the county. And I'm figuring out we're most powerful as an organization on the local level. So our commissioners, Commissioner Miller, Commissioner Myers, I really try to work hard with our local commissioners. Commissioner Hagan, is he up in our assassin? But yeah, tricky. But anyway, it was hard. I went to the public comment. I made public comment when they took away the first 8. And then I was there when they took away the final 2. To me, it's demoralizing. We're giving over $600 million to the sheriff's department. You could throw a bone to affordable housing. You know what I mean? They wouldn't even feel it. They were making a statement. Yeah.
Imagine that people living somewhere being comfortable with cut back crime.
You would think.
Paying $600 million.
That's logic.
Yeah.
We can't have
We
it.
can't have that. That's because we're too large.
They would tell you that the funding for affordable housing is coming from another bucket, but that funding, a lot of that is earmarked for disaster relief. So we can't use it to just build regular affordable housing. There is affordable housing happening here, right here off of Palm River, right by Dave and Buster's. It's workforce housing for employees of TGH. TGH is so desperate that they're building their own units. Yeah, and it's going here in Brandon, and then we're getting more workforce housing right up by the mall where they're basically filling in that swamp. That's going to be affordable housing as well. Yeah, it's gonna sing. Yeah.
What is the name of the clinic that do this on blind people? And do
Called Echo. It's not affiliated with us, but it's called Echo Clean.
Oh, okay.
It's not affiliated with us.
Residential.
Yeah, she does residential and commercial. Yep, pretty great. Okay, any other questions? Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick, can we start the slideshow back up?
Sure.
And I will tell you, if you are interested, they have a community roundtable once a month on Thursdays. Their next one is this Thursday, August 14th at 10 o'clock at the New Hope Church here in Brandon, which is the address for that is 121 North Knights Avenue here in Brandon. I go to this meeting every single month that I can. When you go to this meeting, it's great for candidates to show up because you can hear about where people are falling through the cracks, because it is not for profit leaders saying, these are the problems I'm facing in my community. Who can help? If you remember a while back, we helped an undocumented double amputee get a bed and get some items for his home. We ultimately helped him get a prosthetic, and that all came through Echo. There are 10,000 ways to get involved with Echo if you are interested, and with all of their organizations that come to these community councils. It is hard to get nonprofit leaders together in a room and not try to compete, right? If you've ever worked in the nonprofit space, You're all competing for the same donors, for the same grants, and it can be a dog eat dog world. It is a testament to what Eleanor and Echo are doing, that they bring everybody in a room and say, hey, guys, we need to figure out how to work together because we're stronger together. That's the exact same model that we have. Sure, what first luck you back there.
Hang on a minute, I'm trying to get you back to where you were.
Already support Echo, anybody do something?
Oh, yeah.
Does.
I saw, because my church has been supporting Echo for years and.
Yeah.
So,
I do too.
right here in Brandon, so I just wondered if anybody else had.
Our club has been supporting Echo for years. I'm not exactly sure when it started, but it was long before I got.
At least 8 years.
We've actually, all the food donations in the back will be coming to Echo tomorrow. So those are the types of things where we can support the people who are helping our neighbors, right? And it is literally our neighbors. A woman who lived next door to me now works at Echo. Why? Because she lost her job, but Echo helped her and she did so great. She's bilingual and they said, hey, you want a job here? She actually works at Echo now. So this is a great, great place if you want to help the community. And if we are about the work, if we want to stop talking and start doing, this is one of the best places in this area to start because they are about the exact same thing. They are doing the work in every way imaginable. All right. Now, let's get into candidates. Zero Kel is going to fund the hell out of Echo.
You know, that may be part of what I would like to talk about. First, I'd like to say thank you so much to folks at Echo. These sort of community organizations are so. And as I talk a little bit more about myself and my background, I've done a lot of charity work before I was, and I will say, lucky enough to get involved in politics. We'll explain a little bit more, and just organizations like this are so important. So thank you so much for everything you did. Okay, so I'm going to start off. My name is Kel Cameron. I am the Democratic candidate for House District 65. And as many of you told me as I came to meet you all as I got here, that is not the district that most of you, think 3 people in the room, can vote in. I understand that. But the reason that I wanted to be here today is I really think it's important that any Democrat who's running in Hillsborough County takes the time to meet the residents across Hillsborough County. South Tampa has a very particular demographic, very different than West Tampa, very different than North Tampa, very different than here. And a lot of candidates tend to become very insular in who they choose to talk to. So Drew, the day that I filed, we were talking and you invited me to be here, I jumped on it. I will take the David Jolly approach and I will be everywhere and anywhere that will give me a space and a microphone. And as you get a little bit more about me today, you'll probably understand a bit more. So again, I'm running for House District 65. That's all of South Tampa, a little bit of West Tampa, more or less all of Town and Country, and part of West Chase. Okay. As you can probably tell by my accent, I am an immigrant. I was not lucky enough to be born in this great country. I had come here the hard way. Actually, that is a lie. I didn't come here the hard way. I came the easy way. I came here for college. I had the easiest way through immigration that anyone could possibly ask for. And as we know, a lot of folks do not have that. And I will touch on that as we go through. I am also a member of the LGBTQ plus community. My husband is gladly sitting over there. A community that has been completely attacked and humiliated and degraded by the current administration over the past. I've lost count how long we've been dealing with this. I'm also an educator. I've been a professor at the University of South Florida for now, going into my 8th year. So go Bulls. As faculty, you tend to forget the mascot sometimes. I'm on the Hillsborough County Public Education Democratic Caucus. I'm on their board. I'm on the state board. I am a large advocate for public education. But those are 3 things that are about me.
And part of the reason that I want to get in front of y'all is to talk about things that matter to all. I'm a gay foreign teacher. And sure, that'll make a great t-shirt or a great hat. I'm gonna share my own and will use words that are not gay. I'm not saying words. But after the election, what really got me is the fact that one thing that I didn't hear from a lot of Democratic candidates, Democratic legislators, of the two major crises that affect every single one of us in this group. The crisis of affordability and the crisis of opportunity. And we do not talk about that enough. And what I want to do today, so I promise not to bore you to tears, I really will desperately try not to, is I will try to use our standard Democrat talking points because I'm sure we're all, again, bored to tears with them.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about what I really want to say about affordability, and let's start with affordability. When I started college 19 years ago, the median age for a home buyer was 38. I'm 37 years old, I'll be turning 38 shortly. I should be being able to cross my fingers that I can finally buy a house. In 2025, the median age to buy a house of a home buyer is 57. That is 19 years older than when I started college. So what is that telling me? I'm going to be renting my apartment for a long damn time. I'm sorry,
We're saving.
but let's see what you think about it. Let's talk about buying a house. When you come buy a house, what's happening? You're renting. You're throwing good money after bad, hoping and praying and saving it. Let's be face it. How many of us are able to save any? How many of us are bending through our savings? Over the past 6 months, yes, and all this is going down. We don't have savings. And let's even think about it. If you are lucky enough to be able to buy it, what is happening? Your HOAs, your insurance prices are going. I talked to a friend of mine, they're a great couple, they just bought a house up in Pasco County. They are early 40s, they saved for 15 years to buy a house. And between insurance and HOA, they're having to consider, do I have to sell? Because owning a home doesn't end there. And these goes knock-on effects. And then what happens when folks can't afford a home in Florida? Two things. They leave. Beat me to my second point, And again, I would say as a teacher, I will happily jump onto any rant, spiral, or tangent. But also, if you have questions, just yell them out at me. I've never been able to wrangle my students to not do it. Let's say leave. No, perfect. They leave. And I know there was a time during the pandemic that we sat down and we seriously thought, can we afford to live in Florida anymore? Then we remembered we used to live in Massachusetts, and then we were thankful to again. I say that for the affordability. I don't want to offend any potential ex-Bostonians in the room. But that's it. You leave. And what happens when people leave Florida, especially the folks who are like us, who vote like us and think like us? We get red. We lose people who are in normally the jobs that are for potentially the more well-educated. We lose our doctors. We lose our lawyers. We also lose just folks who are everyone. Our economy is what suffers. And Democrats don't talk about it. We'll have another nice line about how we no longer have affordable housing, et cetera, et cetera. Then they go back home to them McMansion, no offense again, some of our Democratic legislators. And then they'll just go back and say the same thing to a different group. And no, when people can't afford a home or they have to sell a home, they leave. Hurts our economy, it hurts our growth structure, and it leaves behind the people who are going to keep voting with like the people who are currently sitting in Tallahassee, who want to do what? Head us and drive us even more into the ground. We don't want folks to leave. But then what's the other issue? If they don't leave, they stop renting again. And then what happens? Your rent prices start going. Rent prices have gone up in the city of Tampa by 31% in the past 5 years. Do you want to know what the average wage increase has been? 6.2%. And it's been driving folks back to renting These are questions that are ultimate. But let's think about other things to do with affordability that I don't think get enough attention. And again, I'm saying a lot of this, again, you can't vote for me, but hopefully you will take some points that I'm saying, and when you're legislative, so you have another excellent candidate running for House District 68, that you hold their feet to the fire, and you hope they are not just saying the lines that are gonna be taught them to live. But one thing that we don't think about is the price of having a family. When we talk about affordability. Oh, yeah. Wait, so yeah, I have another couple. They have their first child 2 years ago. Nice little baby boy. And they wanted to have a big family. They were both only children. Both, that quintessential movie moment where like, we want to have a big family. We want to have 4 or 5 kids. Yeah, right. I personally don't understand why, but to each their own. I could not do what folks do. I can handle my niece and nephew. No, and that's great. If you want to have another kid, you should. And I'm talking to them and they're like, well, we're putting that on the back burner. We can barely afford the one child we have. We're taking away folks' rights to even have a family because they can no longer afford to live here. And we don't talk about that. This is something that, again, the other side of the aisle, be like, I promise I will attack as much as I attack around. Talk so much about wanting to have children and birth rates and whoever Elon Musk has knocked up this week. But you see them helping anyone? Do you genuinely see them coming out there and making sure that folks can afford to feed their child? If they want folks to stay at home, how are they going to afford to stay at home? And that's what I'm talking about. Schools and daycare. And the cost of sending a child to daycare when they are under 1 year old is double the cost of sending them to one of our state universities a year. And I'm sure under 6 months old, I'm pretty sure it's closer to 3 times. We don't talk about that. And I don't hear Democrats talking about that either. And again, these are all things that can be fixed in Tallahassee. If we send some folks there, we're actually willing to fight for the people in our community. Affordability. But the reason that I also don't like just banging on the idea of affordability is affordability means nothing if you have no opportunity. Let's think about it. If you are lucky enough to be able to afford a house somewhere outside of downtown, and you want to drive into downtown to go to your work, have you driven on most of the roads lately? Our infrastructure is collapsing by the day. So bully for you, you can afford to live in your house, but you don't have the opportunity to get to work. And that's assuming for most people you can find a job in a lot of our markets nowadays. When it comes to opportunity though, I am going to talk a lot about something that I have a particular passion for, which is education. I truly believe that education is the great equalizer. So to talk a little bit more about kind of my background, so I'm an accent. I've lived here for 19 years, it doesn't go away. I grew up in England. Again, most people, especially most native-born Americans, will be like, oh, that sounds good. No. I grew up in a former mining town with 31% unemployment when I left high school. In the poorest zip code in the country. I got to get to stand in front of y'all because I had decent schools. Not great, just decent. And I studied and I worked, and I got a full ride to MIT to move over here for undergrad in 2006. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn or to sound smart, but it was education that gave me the opportunity to do more than what I could. I look at what a lot of my cousins have and a lot of what life is like back home. They didn't have that opportunity. And I know a lot of immigrants will also have similar stories. That education doesn't give us the opportunity. And outside of that, a lot of folks who are born here, it's education that allows us to grow from where we came from. So it just makes me so angry sometimes. When I talk, because I'm on the state board for the Democratic Caucus for Public Education. And I talk to folks who are just so anti our public schools. And these are Democrats. Because they're sitting there and they're like, well, my school's terrible. I mean, there's a good chance it might be. And why is that? It's all those hardworking teachers who we don't pay. I mean, the average teacher salary in Hillsborough County is $47,000. And then people go, thank you for the millage last year. What do you do up to 52.5? They are still earning less than every county around it. So what does that mean? They leave. They go to Pinellas. They go to Pasco. They go to Pope to earn a living that we should be paying our town teacher. And what does that mean? In Hillsborough County right now, do we know how many teacher vacancies we have?
1,200.
Yep,
1,200.
1,200 teacher vacancies across the county. And who is filling those vacancies? Not well qualified teachers. We are hiring people now who have not even finished high school to teach in a public and that is good. And by the way, neither of my parents finished high school, so that's not at all a comment on finishing high school. But maybe we should expect that of those who are teaching in high school. I don't think that's a lot to ask for. And what happens though, if we don't get those teachers in? We get large classroom sizes. Too many kids to too few teachers. Not enough funding, which leads to what? Not enough opportunity. We have kids leaving school at, well, if they finish school at 18 and can't read, and can't write, whose math skills are, let's just say, not exemplary. We got 50 out of 50 in education in the state. And that is not where we should be. These are solvable problems. And I really mean that if we send people to Tallahassee who, again, didn't just come out here and be like, I love public education, and then again, back to the McMansion. Maybe we could actually get something done, and we can work across the aisle, because I can assure you, a lot of those Republican legislators probably have kids who went to school, probably have people in their district who give a damn about what education their kids are getting. If we actually try, and that's a whole different thing about partisanship, which I'm sure another 10, 20 people are going to come into this room and talk about, and I will leave some of that stuff for that. But let's actually think about it now. Let's say that these kids do finish high school. Are they going to want to stay here in Florida? No, they don't. We have some of the best institutions of higher education in the country, and I'm not just saying them because I work at but we have amazing schools here. UF, FSU, USF, UCF, great schools that are all seeing reductions in enrollment over the past 4 years. Folks don't want to come to school yet. They don't want to stay to go, or they don't want to come from out of state. And again, what is the knock-on effect there? We're not getting new people in the workforce. We're not getting more money paid in taxes to our state. We're not bringing in people who can actually improve our economy and our community. Actually, worse, we're getting a brain drain. People are leaving here, our doctors, our scientists, our social workers, our teachers are leaving to states where they are respected, where they are valued. Again, these knock-on effects of opportunity and affordability are going all the way down. And again, I won't be representing them. But you'll know when I win, and I will be bullish enough to say that when I win. I will be in Tallahassee fighting for these things that will affect every single person in this room. And then I want to say one thing though about House District 65. House District 65 is the most flippable seat in Hillsborough County. 2 cycles ago, we were only down by 3%. Well, sorry, 2 years ago, only down by 3%. 4 years ago, 1.8. We can do this if we invest in flippable seats and not just our safe seats like 62, 67, State Senate District 16, which again, great people running great seats, let's keep what we have. We need to invest in flippable seats. 65, 66, CD 15. We need to really invest that. If you want to give money to candidates in safe seats, I'm glad you have the extra pocket change. But actually, you know what? I'm going to say something different. I'm going to say if you can give. No, if you can give to organizations like Echo. Because I fully agree with
Eleanor.
I fully agree with Eleanor that if you have any money to give it to your community organization. These are the backbone to actually help the people in your community. And then, if you have any money after that, feel free to go to. Oh no, and you all laugh. One thing I'll say is this is the grassroots campaign. If you figured out nothing about me, I did not come from money. I showed up in the United States with 2 suitcases and $200 stuffed in my stomach. I didn't come from money. And I've not gone in the circles or the country clubs or the golf clubs to have the connections that a lot of our Democratic electeds tend to have. This is a grassroots campaign being built by some scrappy immigrant out of their apartment. And I'm very proud of it. So now if you can give, I'm not asking you to give me $1,000, if you want to. I'm not gonna say no, but here's it. $6.50, $10, $25. This is how we build a grassroots movement. And I really hope today, if you took nothing else away, is I hope you hear from a bunch of other folks over the next year who are just as, what do you call it, righteous anger? Yes. Who are just as righteously angry as I am to actually make this state, this county, and whichever district they're from, the best it possibly can, because goddamn it, we can't have another 2 years like we have now. 26, we need to be getting good Democrats, and I say good Democrats because not every Democrat is fighting for all of us. They're not necessarily fighting against us. But you know, a lot of them are fighting for their own bank account and their own ambition. That's it. And then it's just another game of musical chairs of the previous elected, and then we'll be back right here in 26. Again, if you know anyone, if you can't donate, if you know anyone in South Hampton, give them a call. Tell them some angry guy named Calvin with a funny accent. Tell them that he's actually going to make their tomorrow better than their yesterday. Because that is my goal. And that was when I worked in charities, that was my goal. On February 4th, 2024, when I became an American citizen, 37 minutes later in a Denny's parking lot, when I signed up to be a Democrat.
Oh.
The reason I did it was that I wanted to get on those streets, work those campaigns, and fight to make everyone's yesterday. Sorry, everyone's tomorrow. I get caught up in my own passion. But really, life shouldn't be this hard. It really shouldn't be. And we need more folks out there who can just realize that. But life is hard and it's getting harder. And with that, I would promise I will take off my teacher energy and I will hand the mic back to someone else. But thank you guys so much.
I want you guys to think about that. Someone smart enough to get a full ride scholarship to MIT can't afford to buy a home in Florida. Right? We all should hope our children get that opportunity, that they do so well that they can do that. And we've been told that if you do those things, success will just open up. But we're hearing that we are failing to address this issue of housing, this issue of opportunity, where even if you hit the pinnacle of academic success, this is someone with a full scholarship to MIT and has a PhD now.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, got a PhD, he's renting an apartment, right? Like, we have a crisis here. Now, think about the people that Eleanor was talking about, who don't have a degree from MIT or a PhD, trying to find an apartment. We have major issues here, and that's why we have to focus on the work, not the politics, which I know sounds weird coming from a Democratic organization. But this is why we have this as a strategy. All right? Now, his website is QR code. If you'd like to go visit, I would definitely recommend you go check it out. Kel is obviously a big supporter of public education, and I can tell you, my story is very similar to his. I grew up poor on a chicken farm. Debt collectors calling the house. And I was told the way out was education. Right? And I went and I got all those degrees, and I'm in the same boat. I don't own a house. This is something that we have to fix, and this is one of the only politicians talking about it, right? And not just the platitudes of, oh yeah, we should have good schools, oh, insurance should cost less. Actually talking about what is the impact of this? What does this look like? That's something we all should be paying attention to. Now, I want to turn the table over for one more minute to introduce Darren McCauley, who is running to take Laurel Lee's seat. And you can come on up.
I'd really like to thank you, Drew, for giving me the platform and a couple minutes to speak. Eleanor, I want to thank you for your work. for the reminder, that we really need to focus on folks in the community who are closer.
Yeah, hold the mic up.
For the reminder that we really need to focus in our communities on folks who are closer to the edges. You know, so many of the changes that we see now with the affordability that Cameron was talking about, it affects all of us. But the closer you are to the edge, the more likely you are to wind up in crisis. And not losing track of that and remembering that we need to focus on those folks, because by focusing on them, we bring the entire community up. It's important. So I thank you for coming, making that clear to us here today. Very tough to, thank you. Very tough to follow the great speaker here. He who knows a lot about affordability. My name is Darren McCauley, Colonel Darren McCauley, or Dr. Darren McCauley, or just Darren. I joined the Air National Guard at 24 years old because I wanted to be a part of a branch of service that would not just allow me to defend America's values overseas, but to be able to work here at home. I can't tell you how heartbroken I am to see the National Guard be politicized by our current president. I see my brothers and sisters in arms forced to be in Washington, D.C. when there's no true emergency in Washington, D.C. I know that when that happens, guardsmen are brought away from their families. Sometimes, especially enlisted guardsmen, make more money as civilians than they do in the National Guard. So you're taking money out of those folks' pocket. And to do that when there isn't a real emergency is not just sad, as I heard earlier, but it's a shame. I have had the opportunity and the good fortune to come back whole after 2 deployments to Iraq. I've had the opportunity to deploy during COVID to set up nursing homes and testing facilities when there were staffing shortages. Like every other National Guardsman in the state of Florida, I had the opportunity to deploy during Hurricanes Milton and Irene last year. While we were all getting suited and booted to go out and help our community, Laurel Lee was voting to cut FEMA to make sure that the community wouldn't have the opportunity to respond after the hurricane was over. That's the contrast. That's what we're fighting against. My campaign is simple and complicated. I am running to lower cost of living, as was discussed earlier, but more specifically, I want a lower cost of living by making it clear that insurance companies can no longer gouge the citizens of Central Florida. We pay 2 to 4 times the rates of the national average. That is because our representatives are representing insurance companies and they're not representing us. They're not making it clear to these companies that jacking up the rates and using the excuse of our weather and hurricanes to do so is not appropriate. You guys have all heard about the Florida Power and Light rate hikes that Tampa Bay is going to be enduring very soon, but many of you have not heard that my competition, Laurel Lee, has taken over $51,000 from Florida Power and Light. I think that's in large part why she's been silent and why she is not standing up for you, standing up for me, standing up for us, but is instead looking out for her own pocketbook. Bringing service before self back to DC is the cornerstone of my campaign, that Air Force value, serving the people, not serving yourself. The special interests, the corporate money, all the things of politics that people hate to talk about are represented by so many in Florida and represented by Laurel. I'm running to defend Medicare and Medicaid. I'm a physician, I'm a flight surgeon, currently the state air surgeon for Florida. It's abhorrent that we would cut off medical care from the poorest, the people on the edges of our society, to give tax giveaways to not just the richest people in America, but the richest people in world history. I don't think Elon Musk or Zuckerberg or Bezos need any more money, more than our neighbors need healthcare. I'm running to protect veterans' healthcare and veterans' benefits, to keep our promise to those who kept their promise to us. If we can lower the cost of living for Florida families, stand up to corporate interests and special interests, protect our own healthcare, and keep our promise to those who serve to keep us safe, we will be living up to America's values. So much of what I hear from my neighbors, from my friends, from my family, is that the America that we're witnessing right now is not the America that they inherited and not the America they want to pass on to their children. That doesn't always boil down to pocketbook issues. A lot of it is our values. It's how we treat people. You said earlier that the money can't be appropriated and moved, or you're told that it can't be appropriated and moved from National Disaster Fund in order to house people who need housing. in order to clothe people who need clothes or feed people who are hungry. But somehow, we can find the way to move money from FEMA in a state that gets hit by hurricanes every year to build alligator Alcatraz. If you can find a way to do that with money, you can find a way to help your neighbors. I'm going to DC to make that possible. By turning my back on corporate interests, turning my back on money that belongs to you, not to the companies that are gouging all of us. My name's Darren McCauley. My website is Darren for Florida. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Darren. Got it, Chris? All right, so today we were collecting food for Echo, who you heard from. For our next meeting, this is what I would like for people to bring. Pinto beans, black beans, rice, cooking oil, flour, noodles, tomato sauce, and fruit cups. This is gonna be going to an organization called Friends of Waimea. That's where our donations will be going at the next meeting in September. Now, this may not be an organization that you have heard of before. That is deliberate. This is ICE out in Waimea last week.
Wow.
What Friends of Waimea are doing is behind the scenes, not publicly, only by word of mouth with people they can trust, asking to get these types of items because people in Waimea are scared to go out to even buy groceries because ICE might try to round them up. And those fears are not unfounded. This was Friday. So we will be collecting this food next month to bring to them so that we can deliver food to those in need who are too scared to even go to the grocery store. Think about that for a minute. We have human beings in our community scared to go to the goddamn grocery store. Come on. We can do better than this. And how we have to do it right now is by doing this effectively and honestly. Unfortunately, if you help someone who is undocumented, there is the potential that you might face some liability at some point in the future.
Yeah.
I will take all of these things and I will deliver them because it turns out the one thing ICE is scared of is lawyers. So, congratulations, you got one. So, what we're going to do is take this all down to the Friends of Waimea. They are going to distribute this to the people who need it through networks by word of mouth without gathering in large groups where they can create targets for ICE. So if you're coming next month, I ask you to bring one of these things. Take a picture of this slide. Make sure that you bring at least one of these things so that we can take it to the Friends of Waimea and help our neighbors. Help our neighbors who are scared to eat. Yes, Janet.
Dry beans or canned beans or both?
We can, whatever you got. We'll take anything that you can get us.
Dry beans.
But I will tell you, dry beans will store for a lot longer and make a lot more.
Better too.
Yeah, they are better. And so that's something that can be really helpful. Now, we heard from Echo this month. Next month, we're gonna be hearing from the Tampa Period Pantry, okay? We're gonna hear about the crisis of not taking care of women's health and of making sure that women on the edge have their feminine products taken care of, which is an issue that apparently we can't get done. So we're gonna get it done here in this room. So I hope all of you can come back next month. If you haven't joined East Hillsborough, we would love to have you. Susan, can you raise your hand? If you want to join our club and help us do things like this, where we can raise money and we can raise food to make sure that people are taken care of, join East Hillsborough. And Susan will help you fill out a form so that you can do that, or you can do it on our website, okay? All right, that's it. Everybody.